Alrighty, so here we have the Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor that has been pulled off of my 1973 Plymouth Scamp with a 360 Magnum. This week I went ahead and tore it all down, did a rebuild on it. I took these primary and secondary boosters out and cleaned all the passageways. There really wasn't that much stuff in there to start with. I also grabbed an Edelbrock 1411 carburetor I've been having sitting around just to compare things. And just with the idea of thinking, oh, well, maybe if I swap my secondary boosters from the 1411 into this 1906 AVS2, that might help do something. Well, we'll get into that here in a bit on why I decided not to do that. So yeah, here we have the Edelbrock carburetor torn apart. You can see the top. And then we have our jets right here. I got stock jets in my primaries. And then I went to, I've been running 404 jets in the secondaries. And it's been doing pretty decent with that configuration for a while. But eventually I took the 404s out and put the 407s in, and this is in the Edelbrock AVS2 calibration kit that comes with metering rods, springs, jets. So it's your biggest jet that you can put in there. So I figured, okay, well, this motor likes to have more gas to make it go faster. It's meant to be a combination of a nice, decent cruiser and then also a car that can just go really quick in a short amount of time. So yeah, scroll on past year, look at these pictures. I wasn't really a fan to find out that this chrome or plating, whatever it is that's made up in this carburetor, has been flaking off. And I've only noticed it so far in here, nowhere else. And I just kind of like flaked it as much as I possibly could off of that area and cleaned up everything inside, just so that I want to go into my jets and then potentially inside my engine. I'm at a loss with that. So, alright. And there's that little piece flapped over again, trying to get a different angle. Okay, so here's our secondary boosters. This is one of them taken off. Just looking at the underside, and you see the emulsion tube and the little holes right there where it does its magic. Okay, that's where the secondary primary booster went in to the carburetor. Alrighty, so what I'm comparing here is the AVS2 primary angular booster and the down leg booster off a 1411 Edelbrock carburetor. And you can see there is quite a difference between the two. The AVS2 primary angular boosters are way more efficient at distributing gas inside your engine because it's basically misting in all these little ports, these little holes right here, versus a down leg booster that just kind of gushes fuel out. So you're kind of getting a mixture of, better fuel economy, better power because it's atomizing the fuel much, much better. I always thought about it would be nice to actually try and see if you could swap these boosters onto an Edelbrock 1406. And it'd be nice if Edelbrock themselves would sell these individually so you could do that type of upgrade, quote unquote. I don't really understand why in their 1406 or just those type of carburetors, why they'll just go to this type of setup already. But I don't know. Anyways, so we will go on to the next picture. Just some more shots looking at how everything looks. Oh, sorry. This booster is actually off of a 1406. That one I'm going to be working on completely torn apart and rebuilding because it's chock full of crap. $50 score, yay! So you can see everything looks very similar on the emulsion tubes. Not a whole lot different there. Just basically the only thing you're seeing is right in this area. Okay, so there's that. Here's our secondary boosters. Alright, so on the left side, I believe that one is from the 1411, and then on the right side, this one is from the 1906. I just had a couple little backfires, so that's just some soot on there. What's kind of interesting is to see how this emulsion tube right here is installed on the 1411, and same thing for the 1406, but you don't have that over here on the AVS2. I was reading up on a forum, and okay, sorry, now I'm remembering. So this is actually off of the 1406. My 1411 had more of a restriction at this top area right here, so that's why I decided not to use my 1411 secondary boosters on the AVS2, because just blowing air at the top between both of these, I was actually getting more air out of the AVS2 boosters, so I'm figuring, okay, well, that's going to flow a lot more gas. Might as well just keep using that. So based off of one of the forums I was reading, somebody had mounted one of these boosters in a vise, and they took, I don't know if they were talking about taking this big emulsion tube out or this smaller one. I think it was a smaller one they were talking about, and they just tapped it out without damaging it so they could replace it if they wanted to later, and ran that in their configuration that had like a super high stall torque converter, and it completely solved their bog that they were having. So I didn't want to go to that extreme. I just wanted to see what I can do and compare things and figure out what's what. So let's keep on scrolling along. Here I'm just showing some comparisons between a 1406 Edelbrock and the 1906. Now we're getting to the 1411. Alright, so there's the 1411 all taken apart, so we can look inside. And we got a 35 size pump job on the AVS2. It is a 31, and this is also that Thompson blast plate that I'm still on the fence on whether it's really doing something or not. It's definitely shooting the gas right out of that plate and spreading it more evenly into the barrels, so that's something. I ended up swapping the 31 on over to the 1411, and I put the 1411's 35 onto the AVS2, so it's actually going to cover both the holes a lot more because it's getting more fuel. So that's that. And here's a side-by-side comparison. So you can see what it looks like. I did have a little bit of a fitting issue trying to get the 35 to fit into the AVS2, so I just had to like gently tap on the aluminum up and down just to get it to fit decently. I think it's just barely oversized just based off of manufacturing and whatnot. Newer carburetor versus older carburetor. And then we can look at the nozzle sizes a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell in the pictures, but it is slightly noticeably bigger on the 35 versus the 31. And then I also noticed on the 31, there's this little race spot right there that you don't have on this guy. So what that does, I'm not quite sure, but it's just something to note. This is also taken a picture of inside of the accelerator pump cylinder area, and this is a comparison between the 1906 here and the 1411. So you can kind of see there's a slight little difference inside of that chamber or cylinder. That looks like it goes a little bit deeper down versus this one. Or maybe it's just the size of that inner circle. Anyways, getting back over to some more pictures. Here we're comparing the AVS2 secondary booster over to the 1411 booster, and this is exactly what I was talking about. You can see where there's more restriction up in this area versus this side over here. I'm not 100% sure why there's a secondary tube, other than just to maybe just help drive quality. So again, this is flowing a lot more gas, just blowing air through it versus this one. So that's why I continue to stick with that AVS2 secondary booster. You can also see there's a difference in size in here and then versus over here. Okay. Getting to the jets, just a comparison to see what the 404 looks to the 407. And when I grabbed the other 404 and the other 407 for the other side and putting them side by side, they almost looked identical. You can see there's more of a difference here. This is the 407, and this is the 404 jets. But between the 404 and 407, they looked more of the same. Like there's not that much of a difference on the 407. So again, quality control, manufacturing, I don't know. Just something that I noted. So there's that. The idea of going with a 407 is just to let the secondaries flow more gas into the side, inside the engine, as well as upgrading the accelerated pump shot. Just in attempts to help lessen the BOG, the infamous Edelbrock. Here's a shot of the underside of the carburetor. And that's it all put back together. So I did reinstall it back onto my Scamp. I took the 750 CFM Holley off of that. I need to rebuild it, even though it's basically almost brand new. It's sat for maybe, I don't know how many months on the previous owner, so it's had some issues on the transition circuit between idling and just running upon just gently pushing the throttle. So alrighty, so we'll continue on over here. There's a Scamp next to my buddy's 1971 Mercury. Now here you can see a slow-mo, so you can get some volume going. Now it's really interesting to see how this plays out right here. In the slow motion, you can see how when you give it gas, it's pushing gas out of the accelerator pump nozzles, as it should, and then followed by the primary annular boosters letting gas into the engine, and then your secondaries kicking in and the door opening up to allow more air into the engine through the carburetor. So let's pause that. And we'll hit play again. Man, just look at that. So that blast plate is definitely doing something. It's like spreading it more out. And then we can try and see if we can get a shot of this door opening up and closing. I've been playing with the setting on the door, tightening and loosening, just to test it out, and I honestly haven't noticed any dramatic, huge differences in how that's been playing a role in the BOG factor. And this is like an immediate press, like very fast on the gas pedal, right when you need to just go, and it just falls flat on its face, recovers, and then holy crap, it starts going really fast. If you just kind of ease into it, though, it doesn't really do it. So I also read somewhere that somebody was saying, as they were attempting to try and solve the Edelbrock BOG issue, they found out that as they shot a little bit of starting fluid or carb cleaner into the secondaries upon that point where it would bog, the bog would go away. So as in, like, when the secondaries were just about to kick open. So there's something to do with the enrichment circuit on these carburetors that just doesn't give it enough fuel. So that right there, you can definitely see everything playing out in live time. I will say this, it did make a huge difference as far as changing the jets, as well as going from a 31 to a 35 accelerator pump nozzle configuration. I'm almost at the point where I'm getting this car to chirp the tires in every single gear. It will fry the tires, no problem. Just at a dead stop and just easing to the throttle. If I just mash it real quick, it's just going to want to die. Still, it's not as bad as it was before, but it's still there. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things trying to keep on tuning and playing with. I did move my accelerator pump shot to the bottom hole, try and delay that a little bit, and it seemed to help not roast the tires off the start of the line as quickly. And yeah, I don't know, just trying to, I guess, live with it. I don't want to go to a Holley officially yet, even though I tried it a few times. Those carburetors are just a little bit more finicky for me to try and figure out versus these Edelbrocks, but at some point I'll get it down and maybe throw one on here and just get it going. So that is that. This is the Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor 1906 on my 1973 Plymouth Scamp with a 5.9 360 Magnum stock internals. It has a automatic 3-speed 904 with a stock style torque converter, 8 3/4 sure grip with 355 gears, Mosher axles. She will scoot really good, and like I say, it's made a pretty good improvement overall. Just upgrading from 404 to 407 jets in the secondaries, leaving the primary jets as they are. They were very close to the 404 size. And I'm using 7042 metering rods with the stock orange spring. That's more so just for cruising quality. So, I don't know what my next step is to try and solve the bog. So I'm just kind of at that point where I'm just going to live with it and just understand that I just shouldn't immediately press the throttle, but just kind of like more so ease into it, and that'll just make everything go a lot smoother. So yeah, like I say, she will scoot. The best 0 to 60 time I got in this car has been 5.5 seconds. I tried to do another one with this configuration. It was about 6.5 seconds, but that's just mostly because of spinning the tires. Even though I'm trying to just ease into the throttle, it's just got that much more power to where it's just not fully keeping traction. So yeah, hopefully that helps some of you out there who's experiencing issues with these carbs. It's just a matter of cracking them open, checking things, checking float levels, making sure your fuel pressure's set right, about 4.5 to 5. So there it is. See ya.